All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Sunday, August 22nd, 2021. Bad weather, the big news. And also, Jesse Jackson hospitalized with COVID along with his wife. Phil Valentine, the conservative radio host who tested positive by the numbers on July 23rd, which we talked about, had his family come out and say, go out and get the vaccine. He reportedly died yesterday, August 21st. John Harbaugh in the NFL tied a Vince Lombardi record. I want to talk about that, especially in light of Vince Lombardi's death. I want you to see the ritual. Vince Lombardi died at Jesuit Georgetown in D.C., not far from Baltimore, where Harbaugh coaches. And also want to talk about the death of a politician last week on the 4464 date. There were a lot of suspicious deaths on the 4464 date, as there always are. And I didn't cover them so much, but we'll go back and take a look at one. There's many more we could. So, with that said, let's start with the weather. Hurricane, it looks like Henri with an I, right? But the way they're pronouncing it is Henri, like it's Henri. It's angry. Hurricane angry. Hurricane Andre. And also, as the Northeast is getting hit with this, Tennessee got severe flash flooding today that's supposed to continue. It'll probably continue into tomorrow. I almost wonder if the world powers forgot how to count, because here we are on the 51-date numerology, one day before the 52-date numerology. I think in the case of Henri, the flooding is going to be really bad starting, around midnight tomorrow. This reminds me of Harvey. Harvey made landfall before the 52-date numerology, and then Texas got wasted on the 52-date numerology, August 27th, 17. Have a feeling the Northeast, going to be a lot of places getting hit hard with flooding tomorrow on the 52 date. That's Monday, August 23rd. And just before we get into this, just also look at CNN's front page right now. Anything look funny on there based on what we talked about Friday night? Talked about the big 20 ritual with the Templars and Taliban and time. And then today we get this headline. At Kabul's airport, more than 20,000 people are trying to escape the Taliban. Okay. So let's go through all this. Let's start with Hurricane Henri and see what they encoded in this name. Hurricane Henri has gematria of 83. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, flood equals 83. And Genesis 8:3 is where the biblical flood ends. Again, these numbers come from the Bible largely. When you use the alphabetic order, flood equals 52, like earth, like Enlil. Enlil's the Babylonian god of flooding. Hurricane equals 52. Tomorrow, August 23rd, 21, it'll have 52-date numerology. And so often hurricanes make landfall on 52 dates. In this case, it's making landfall less than 12 hours before the 52 date. And in some parts of the world, it is already August 23rd. They're going by Vatican time or something. But yeah, I think it's going to be like Harvey. Harvey made landfall before the 52 date, but the destruction came on August 27th, 17, the 52 date. And remember, when Harvey destroyed Texas, that was the anniversary of Stevie Ray Vaughan's death, the musician whose best-selling album of all time was Texas Flood, who died 27 years to the day of that hurricane. But Henri is named for flooding. It's bringing flooding. And again, I think tomorrow is going to be the worst of it. So sorry, people in the Northeast. You could be out here. You could be living in the smoke. However, it's funny. Today's the first day the smoke cleared in forever. I'm sure it'll be back in no time. But today we can actually see light outside. We've been living in a smoke cloud for a month. We're out here on the West Coast. But again, just the same repetitive patterns. And sure, hurricane didn't necessarily hit on the 52 date, but one day before, and just watch. The flooding will be devastating tomorrow on the 52 date. Keep in mind, Hurricane Henri equaling 83. That's the 23rd prime number. Tomorrow is the 23rd, 8/23/21, the date with 52 numerology. So, wanted to point that out. And then also today, Tennessee's getting wasted, and Tennessee equals 52. And notice how they say 51 people are missing. Today has 51 date numerology. in the headlines is Phil Valentine, who broadcasts out of Nashville, Tennessee. But with regards to today being the day these storms are hitting, the reason it might be hitting one day ahead of the 52-date numerology today is because it's 22/8, like 228. And remember, when you just use the alphabetic order, United States of America is 228. And when you use Sumerian gematria, which is the alphabetic order times 6, death equals 228. And it reminds of that Slipknot song, Gematria, the killing name. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. But in that song, the chorus, says, America is a killing name. It doesn't fill or discriminate. Life is just a killing field. It's all that's left. Nothing is real. Throw away your disposable past and fall apart like a cigarette ash. We are the fatal and vital ones of the world, and we will burn your cities down. And again, this is a song about gematria, a code that has a lot to do with killing, as we document again and again. And here we are on this fitting date for the nation. Again, 22/8, United States of America 228, death 228, the only born American with a holiday named after him, Martin Luther King Jr., who got that because of his death, Martin Luther King Jr. 228. Tells me, again, I think that's part of the reason we're getting these deadly storms today that are reportedly killing people just right before when they typically hit the 52-date numerology, a hair off. And again, Tennessee's got 52 numerology, so we're hearing about Tennessee the day the hurricane's making landfall. Tennessee 52, Hurricane 52, Earth 52, Flood 52, again, Enlil 52. And the flooding expected to continue into tomorrow with Tennessee, so looks like it will happen on the 52 date as well. And again, with regards to Tennessee, right now their conservative talk show host is in the news for supposedly dying from COVID. And remember, July 23rd was the day the news broke about Phil Valentine. And notice how it's political, right? A conservative talk show host, because he was questioning if the vaccine was legitimate, right? So he becomes this example. Right? But like we talked about, July 23rd was the 204th day of the year, and Phil Valentine 204. So what a day to hear about him. And it was a date with 51 numerology, and Valentine's 51, right? But look at this. From the day that the news broke about him, July 23rd, to the day of his death, August 21st, 30 days. What's vaccine equal? 30. What was the story on July 23rd? That his family came out and said, everybody needs to go out and get the vaccine. Phil was wrong. This is serious. Everybody needs the vaccine. So now Phil dies, right? The guy, the conservative talk show host who questioned the vaccine. But notice, it's not only 30 days, it's 4 weeks and 2 days, right? What's vaccine in reverse? 42. The bigger, well, they've both been used systematically, both numbers in these vaccine rituals over and over and over. Remember, Donald Trump, the conservative, declared Operation Warp Speed 30 days from his birthday on the anniversary of Clade X, which was the pandemic simulation. That was exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared. But yeah, is Phil Valentine even really dead? Is this the way he retires? Did he get some payola to, become part of this propaganda? Wouldn't surprise me at all. They don't just let anybody on the radio. He's probably in the club. Most of these conservatives and liberals on the radio, they're mostly all conservatives when it comes to talk radio. You don't find many liberals on the radio, but the liberal media has almost no liberal voices. Again, that's what I always love about the conservatives. And again, this whole conservative liberal thing, it's all part of the bullshit too. What do conservatives really stand for? What do liberals really stand for? What, having Republicans in office, having Democrats in office? It seems like that's all they really stand for at the end of the day. Do the conservatives care when the Republicans start racking up the spending, when they raise taxes, when they build a surveillance state? No. But when the liberals do it, then it's just like, and vice, it goes both ways, The Democrats were going to end the wars, then they get the whole government, and then they escalate the wars, and all of a sudden they don't care anymore. They were all up in arms about the wars, then they don't care about the wars. Again, the political parties are just a bunch of crap. Stand for nothing but their party. It's like all they care about is their party's in power. The Republicans can even get a career Democrat like Donald Trump, and then they're all happy. They don't care that he was a Democrat his whole life, hung out with the Clintons and everything, best buddies with the Clintons. Now he calls himself a Republican. It's just a coincidence he was at the Obama White House Correspondents' Dinner where Obama joked that he'd be the next president. That just happened to be 45 days before Trump's birthday, and he becomes number 45. But yeah, anyway, here's Phil Valentine, supposedly dead. And the day he died, 21/8, death in English extended gematria is 218. Holy Roman Empire is 218. That's who's behind all this, the Jesuits, the Catholic Church. Died on a 70-date numerology, coronavirus, COVID vaccine, 70. The ritual looks a little bit too perfect. And if Phil Valentine really is dead, he was definitely off by the numbers. It didn't have anything to do with COVID. Might have been given a dose of arsenic, made him real sick, kept him on life support, finish him off by the numbers, something like that. Could be like that if he's really dead, but it's not COVID. It's ritual murder. It's propaganda. My guess is, though, this guy's on a beach somewhere with a Mai Tai. Retired. Probably got $1 million. Phil, probably got more than $1 million. These guys are printing out money. How much you want us to print out, Phil? How much for your legacy to go out, questioning COVID and then dying from COVID? What's your price? 10 mil? All right, here's 10 mil. First Mai Tais on us. See you later, buddy. And let's not forget that his name's Valentine, right? This all Catholic agenda. Valentine? Well, what's Valentine equal? 102 like Nashville where he broadcasts out of? How many 102 rituals have there been with the pandemic from the beginning? If you don't know the answer to that, it's because you haven't read my book, because you haven't been here since the beginning. We've called everything. Again, you guys, does this sound arrogant or does this sound true? Has anybody been more exact about everything about the pandemic, for correct predictions, to just nailing it, to who's responsible, to what's going to come next? I mean, have we missed a thing? I think we're batting 100 for 100 at least in the COVID pandemic. But 102 has been a huge number. This guy has it. Valentine 102, Nashville 102. Remember, this was the first pandemic in 102 years in the U.S. Last one was 1918, Spanish flu, then 2020 this. Spanish flu came out of the World War 102. They had us with that phrase, social distancing 102, plus all the rest. There's a whole lot more. So the Phil Valentine news of his death came the same day as Jesse Jackson and his wife being hospitalized for COVID-19. And that was on the 70-date numerology, coronavirus 70, COVID vaccine 70. At the beginning of the year on January 8th, Jesse Jackson was in the news for getting his vaccine that day, which we covered at the time. And what stands out to me about Jesse Jackson is the news for him came 48 days before his upcoming 80th birthday. Keep in mind he's 79 years old right now. Society of Jesus 79. Anthony Fauci, the Jesuit. The pandemic was declared on his 79th day of being 79 years old. Talked about that a gazillion times. But Jesse Jackson, this news comes 48 days before his 80th birthday, and the most pure cipher, Illuminati 48. Bavarian Illuminati 80, which again was created by the Jesuits. So, interesting. It's also 6 months and 6 days before his birthday, or 317 days after his last birthday, which is the 66th prime, like 6 months or 6 weeks and 6 days. And Corona equals 66. 66 is the 11th triangular number. Black is 11. The other thing that jumped out to me about this is that from the day he got vaccinated on January 8th to this news is 225 days later. Remember, that number was encoded all over the George Floyd ritual, which became about civil rights, which Jesse Jackson became a part of. And now I'm starting to wonder if maybe there's also something to 225 and civil rights that I don't know about. So I'm going to look into this more. But 225 was all over the George Floyd ritual, which even became part of COVID because he tested positive for COVID at his autopsy. And then the motto was, I can't breathe, like COVID makes it so you can't breathe. We know about all that. But the other thing that I talked a lot about, 225, and again, if you don't know anything about these numbers, they're in the book. 225 is a big number with the Catholic Church as well. This happened on 21/8, 218, Holy Roman Empire, 218. 225 has to do with the Trinity. And, we'll see. This could be the end of Jesse Jackson. We'll see. Jesse Jackson, civil rights puppet, Jesuit-controlled puppet. Okay, and as for a political death last week on the Jesuit birthday on the 4464 date numerology, again, just go to Wikipedia and look at all the deaths on that day, just how many at premature ages, athletes all around the world. I mean, there's just a ton, and I guarantee if we looked at them, there's just so much. But this one jumps out right away. A U.S. politician dead at age 64, whose name is Mitchell, which equals 44, and he's dead on the 64-44 date numerology because kill equals 44 when you run the alphabetic order forward, 64 in reverse. Every single month on this date, from politicians to celebrities, entertainers, there's ritualistic deaths just like this. There's oftentimes big military rituals. The Taliban overthrew their government by the numbers. But they say he died from cancer, which of course equals 44, like chemo, like kill, like his surname Mitchell. Michigan's 44. He was a Michigan politician. He represented the 10th district, which is right outside Detroit. Detroit's 91. He died 91 days from his upcoming birthday, 274 days after his last. Isus hominum salvator, the Jesuit motto, is 274, and he died on the Jesuit birthday on a Sunday. So do you really think this guy died from cancer? See, that's why it's so, you just follow, these people die in hospitals, right? They're dying in hospitals. And who runs these hospitals? Again, almost every hospital chain in this nation connects to Yale Skull and Bones. And what is Skull and Bones? Skull and Bones is a secret society that pays tributes to the Templars. And who are the Jesuits? The Jesuits are the continuation of the Templars. That's why they have the Templar cross in their logo. Military orders of the Catholic Church. The Knights Hospitaller are related. Hospitaller, hospital, Catholic as well. I don't know if I'm ever going to set foot on a hospital again in my life, man. But, it's just obvious. A lot of people get sent to the hospital, and I guarantee you they got agents in some of these hospitals. Jesuit scum, sociopathic killers. Probably get paid extra every time they do somebody under, like how a hospital gets extra money when the COVID's on the death certificate. And speaking of dying at hospitals by the numbers, there's always the example of Vince Lombardi, who died at Jesuit Georgetown's hospital one day before the NFL season began. And I got to bring him up because yesterday Harbaugh, again, if you guys are new here, we teach the 4-base ciphers, but if there's only one cipher, I always say the same thing. If you can only have one cipher, it's this one. Yesterday, Harbaugh got his 39th career preseason win, and he tied Vince Lombardi with 19 straight preseason wins, right? He did it over the Panthers, who are from Charlotte. And notice Charlotte's 39. Notice Harbaugh's 39. And notice when you write out the Raven, it equals 39. He coaches the Baltimore Ravens, who are named after the Edgar Allan Poe poem, The Raven. So, the Raven 39, Harbaugh 39, Charlotte 39. He sets the record with his 39th win. He does it on a 70-date numerology, and that matters because Harbaugh tied Lombardi, who died on 3/9 in 70 at Jesuit Georgetown. And this goes to show that they even do rituals in the preseason with these meaningless games. This stuff goes on all the time in the world of sports. And it is just sick, sick, sick. Also in Baltimore, Orioles is 39. They like this number in Baltimore. We talk about this all the time, Patreon with the sports. But big number there in Baltimore. So Harbaugh ties Lombardi's record with his 39th preseason win, winning his 19th straight game. And again, Lombardi dead on 3/9. So what's interesting about Lombardi is his name equals 38. And, Panthers is 38. Harbaugh played the Panthers yesterday. He came in with 38 wins, went to 39. He comes in with the Lombardi connection, ties Lombardi's 19 streak. And with regards to the Panthers, remember, they lost in Super Bowl 38, rigged for the Patriots. Then they lost on the 38th day of the year in Super Bowl 50 to the Broncos from Colorado, the 38th state, where Colorado in 38. It just never stops with rig sports. But, again, just the power of gematria. You can see through what's really going on with the weather. You can see how the sports are rigged, how the politicians are off. It's not cancer like you're reading in the headlines. Well, what about the politician's wife who said he died from cancer? How many wives, that are married to an older man with power probably can't wait for their husband to die and just claim the inheritance and get out of their relationship that they're tired and bored of anyway? How many of these people are even in arranged marriages and never even really cared for their partner that are on the big stage like that? I think it's a lot of them. We live in a society of selfishness and evil and greed, and most people don't even have a real family. A lot of people can't wait for their parents to die so they can claim their inheritance. We live in a messed up world, man. That's why all this stuff goes on, and you always got some family member there to make it seem like it's all legit. Guarantee you there's nothing legit about that politician's death on the 4464 date on the Jesuit birthday, dying in a perfect Sus hominum salvator ritual, the Jesuit motto. Just like there's nothing accidental about the Taliban started by the CIA, overthrowing the puppet government in Afghanistan on the Jesuit birthday. And, yeah, I think that's all I got for now, Truth Seeker. It'll be busy tomorrow. I'll be on a lot tomorrow. I got a bunch of errands still to finish up here today, but I wanted to get on and pump out some of these news stories because lots of important ones. And, here, I'll give you one more. Hold on, I got to look at my phone. I feel bad, I already forgot the man's name, but I got to tell you this real quick. There's a new movie out. Here it is. Here, I'm going to put this up on the screen so you can just see it. Here, we'll do it in real time. So it's not out in the theaters, but it's like out on, TV. It's like, it came out in the movie theater a while ago. Now it's out on TV. But they got a movie out about this man, Russell Poole. And they got Johnny Depp to play the part of Russell Poole. And I'd never heard this story before. This is all new to me, but they made a movie about it. So maybe you heard about it too recently. Maybe you knew about it back then. I never heard about it before. But what the story is he was a detective in the LAPD. And on March 18th, again, if you could only have one cipher, it's this one. Police Officer 77, Police Department 77, right? The story is that on March 9th, 97, Notorious B.I.G.'s murdered, right? Biggie on 3-9, right? The New York rapper, 39. Everything New York, 39. Empire State, 39. But on March 18th, which is the 77th day of the year, what happened supposedly in the LAPD, this is what the movie's about. It starts off all like this. So if I tell you this, I'm not really ruining the movie for you, but the beginning of the movie, it shows, there's a white guy, he's in an older car. He pulls up to a stoplight. He's got his window down. It's it's Southern California. It's like a summer day every day, I guess. But next to him, another car pulls up, a SUV. And a black man's in this car, and he's got his windows down, he's got his music blasting, and he's playing Snoop Dogg's Murder Was the Case. The song about Snoop Dogg selling his soul. And the two men make eye contact. They look at each other, and then the black guy thinks the white guy is trying to start something, and the white guy says something like, "Oh, you're one of those guys." And then he's like, "What do you mean one of those guys?" And then, he says, "Why don't you pull over," or something, like threatens him. And the white guy's like, whatever, and he drives away fast because he doesn't want to be around this guy. But then the black guy follows him, and the black guy's wheezing through traffic, and he's got his car on two wheels. He's swerving so hard just trying to catch up with this guy. But anyway, they end up shooting each other, right? Well, the white guy doesn't get shot, but they end up shooting at each other, and the black guy dies. And then what they find out, supposedly, is both of them are undercover police officers for the LAPD. So you got these two undercover police officers, one white, one black. They get in a shootout, and supposedly this is all a true story. This isn't just a movie. This is supposedly what really happened on March 18th, the 77th day of the year. And this is shortly after, Rodney King. It's in the 90s. And that's part of the story, too, how in the LAPD there was still all this racial tension because of Rodney King beating, which was a major ritual by the numbers, March 3rd, 91. 3-3, again, your most pure cipher, police 33, race war 33, right? Masonry 33, secrecy 33, order 33, federal 33, you know how it goes. But these supposedly these two undercover officers shooting at each other and one getting killed happens on the 77th day of the year. And think about how many 77 police rituals we covered over the years. The biggest one was in Dallas, that big shootout on 7/7, where supposedly the shooter went and hid in a garage and they sent in like a robot to blow him up or something. Whole load of shit story. But I can almost guarantee you this entire story is a load of shit too. Like, this probably never even happened, but just more news for more racial divisiveness, for more divisive propaganda by the numbers, using a police department who's behind all these hoaxes in the news, and that's what they are. Again and again, they're hoaxes in the news, reported shootings that never happened. Sometimes they might happen, but a lot of times they are just complete bullshit. And so anyway, the story is that, so this detective Russell Poole, he gets put on this case, right, to find out what happened between these two officers. Why are they shooting at each other in traffic and killing each other? Like, how does this even happen? And he finds out that the black police officer who got killed was getting money from Death Row Records, right? And then he discovers that Death Row Records' Suge Knight, who's a big media puppet, supposedly Suge Knight had a bunch of police officers on payroll, and he had like this gang of thugs in the LAPD who were robbing banks and doing all this stuff. So Suge Knight, man, this rap record executive, supposedly he's got all these police officers under payroll. He's like the gangster in charge. This is the story, right? So as I'm watching this, we were watching this movie. I'm thinking, I bet you all this shit is just Jesuit, right? We know that, Notorious B.I.G.'s death was a big Jesuit ritual. We know Tupac's death was a big Jesuit ritual. That's a big theme in the movie too. There's this one cop, David Mack, I think's his name, and they go to his house, and he's got a Tupac shrine, and they think he's the guy who actually killed Biggie, this LAPD officer who was being paid by Suge Knight. Anyway, I'm just thinking, okay, all of this, I bet if I look into all this more, I'm going to just find the Jesuit connection. So anyway, as I'm watching the movie, well, what happens at the end of the movie is Russell Poole, he's bringing in all his stuff to really push his case forward at the end, and then supposedly that day, he just has a heart attack. And that's the way the movie presents it, like he just had a heart attack. Like a big coincidence. He was at a police department, bringing forth, all the evidence, his last hurrah to show what's really going on here. And then he just drops dead of a heart attack. That's the coincidental ending of the movie. So I'm like, hold on. Let me look. Let me look. You know what was weird? This happened to me before. It's just so weird. We were watching this movie on August 19th, and then I look it up. I'm like, wow, he died in history on August 19th? And they just added this movie, for people to watch on TV. So I think they added it before August 19th, but we happen to be watching it this day. But look at this, you guys. His birthday is November 29th, right? His birthday is November 29th. He died in 2015, right? He died August 19th, 2015. Look at this. He died 263 days after his birthday. You see that? The 56th prime number. Society of Jesus, 56 and the most pure. And again, just the movie treats you like you're an idiot. It's like, oh, really? That's how it's gonna be. He's gonna finally bring it all together, and then he's just gonna drop dead, and then nothing happens. I mean, it just. But again, in the most pure cipher, Society of Jesus, 56. Always talking about the 263, the 56 prime, how they do these rituals. So. The Tupac album came out after his death on the day, leaving 56 days left in the year. Jonathan and I did a big one a while back, just showing all the Jesuit stuff with the Biggie album, Life After Death, right after his death. And yeah, that's who runs the world, you guys. It's the Jesuits, man. You know their code. You can just see right through all their stuff. Here, let's just see. Russell Wayne Poole. Let me see his name. He might have truly been the honest cop. Trying to do the right thing. Off by the numbers. And then as you watch the movie, as you watch the movie, you see all the stuff they do to him, because when he's digging into the case, he gets removed from the LAPD, and they write articles about how he's a crazy person and a liar and a fraud, and it's because he starts to dig up dirt on the police officers. But, yeah, I mean, it's just, isn't it amazing how, I mean, what percentage of movies are about corrupt government and police? Like, literally, what percentage of movies are about those topics? A fifth? I'd say a fifth of Hollywood movies that are made are about those exact topics. Corrupt police, corrupt government, big corrupt corporations that own politicians. I mean, these are constant themes in movies. And, again, I'm convinced that the reason they do it is because when you start to expose what's really going on in the world, the brain dead losers, the same ones who just rush out and get the jab and do whatever they're told by the TV and authority, they're the same ones who are like, you watch too many movies. It's like, dude, you watch way more movies and TV than I do. So you're just a programmed idiot who has no independent thoughts in their head. But anyway, we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. And, I'll be back soon. I might even be back tonight. We'll see. We'll see all what happens. Definitely be back tomorrow. But got a day full of errands still to finish up here. So I see somebody in the chat wrote spirit molecule. The numbers are interesting. I'll look into why you're talking about that earlier. I'm not sure what that is. Spirit molecule? Is that something I need to look up? Where'd that come from? Spirit molecule. Is that something in the news? Oh, DMT documentary. Okay. I don't know how that came up. But yeah, people in the Northeast, stay dry, And see you guys soon. Till next time.